Hey, what's up guys, my name is Charlie. Today we're going to be reacting to some more Nostalgia Critic, and it's going to be old versus new, Manhunter versus Red Dragon. Oh boy, I don't think I've ever watched Manhunter, but I have watched Red Dragon. So obviously Manhunter came first before Red Dragon. It's basically sort of based on the same type of movie, I'm guessing. Because I'm on unfamiliar territory here with Manhunter, but I do know a lot about Red Dragon because I've watched it, of course, like 6 times. It's Hannibal Lecter, of course. Absolutely love Hannibal Lecter. He's totally awesome, and well, actually, he's not. He's a serial killer, but you get the point. He's a great sort of scary sort of villain thing. But yeah, he's played by Anthony Hopkins, and who else was in this movie, Red Dragon? Edward Norton, I believe. He was also great in this movie. But yeah, it's a good movie. Let's check out the video, shall we? Let's go.
Oh, I'm a nostalgia critic. I remember it, so you don't have to. Now, welcome
Okay.
to another edition of Old versus New. We all know about Hannibal Lecter and his history in movies.
Yeah.
Great sucked, great sucked. But one film that gets overlooked at times is actually Lecter's very first appearance.
Oh, what's it?
This is the 1986 Michael Mann film Manhunter. And
Never seen
holy
it.
shit, that's not Hannibal Lecter! I thought he was a British guy with his hair slicked back. Not a British guy with his hair slicked back. Okay, there's some similarities. But that's just one of the many differences between two films based on the Thomas Harris novel, Manhunter and Red Dragon.
Okay.
Both are very different, but both are actually very good, too. They have their own unique style, their own way of telling a story, and their own way of showing what their characters are going through. But as always, which one holds up the strongest? Which one comes together the best? Which one toughens the nipples with delight? Well, we're gonna find out today. This is old versus new. Manhunter versus Red Dragon.
All right. Hello, Clarice. It's good to see you again. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
The only thing better than a hero is an anti-hero, the person who constantly walks the edge of good and evil. And these are two great nuts.
Oh, God.
That sounded bad.
Yeah, it was bizarre. Best hero. Okay.
In the role of Will Graham, we got William Peterson in Manhunter and Edward Norton in Red Dragon.
Edward
Both know how
Norton.
to keep your attention and how to
Oh
up the
boy, I love
intensity.
him.
They both
He's
do
awesome.
great work. But in terms of who's better, that's a tough argument.
okay.
Let's look at Norton. Norton is a very no-nonsense kind of cop. He's straightforward, hardworking, and doesn't take any bullshit. Even from one of cinema's most famous killers.
That may keep them, and I might consider it.
No.
Do you dream much, Will?
Goodbye, Dr. Lecter.
Damn.
You haven't threatened to take away my books yet.
He has a gift for sensing what a sick mind is thinking, which he sees much more as a curse rather than a blessing. But where in Red Dragon, he's a healthy guy with a dark edge. Peterson portrays him more as a sick mind that just barely made it over to the good side. And even then, is constantly tightroping it. He doesn't seem like a well person, and deep inside he knows he could just as easily become one of those psychos he's brought in. Now don't get me wrong, they addressed this in Red Dragon too, but Norton still seems relatively in control. There's never a sense that he could just snap at any second. Take for example when he's trying to get into the criminal's mind. With Norton, it's very much along the lines of having an epiphany.
You took your gloves off, you touched her with your bare hand, and then you wiped her down. But when the gloves were off, did you open her eyes?
With Peterson, you get the feeling he's literally diving into the killer's psyche. Almost like he's sickly enjoying it.
You took off your
That can
gloves to
happen.
touch her, didn't
I've seen police officers dive in the mind of criminal minds and go
Didn't you,
crazy.
you son of a bitch? You touched her with your bare hands, and then you put your gloves back on. But while your gloves were off, did you open all their eyes so that they could see you?
Yeah, what'd you have for breakfast? Wasn't it Egg McMuffin? It was an Egg McMuffin, you fuck! Yeah!
Yeah,
Because
don't
of
try to
this,
get into
Peterson
a mind
comes
of a
across as
criminal
more tortured
serial
and
killer.
therefore more
It's a bad
complex.
thing to do.
You could see him very easily going off
Or you'll
the deep
start
end
to
of it.
behave like that.
Norton seems to have one foot firmly in the real world, so when Lecter makes the comparison that they're similar, it sort of sounds like your typical villain speech.
Don't you understand, Will? You caught me because we are very much alike. Without our imaginations, we'd be like all those other poor dullards.
In Manhunter, he literally starts freaking out, just like an unstable mind would. So it makes more sense that something like this would really get to him.
Yeah, of course.
You know how you caught me, Will?
Goodbye, Dr. Lecter. You can leave messages for me at the number on
You
the
know
file.
how you caught me? The reason you caught me, Will, is you're just alike. You understand?
Damn. Yeah, it's a bit of a real more
As
reaction.
much as I love Norton in this film, and he does give a solid performance, Peterson just had more of a sick, twisted mind that was more interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Norton, you're great, but point goes to Peterson.
Yeah. I can't really judge because I haven't seen the, the Manhunter movie, so I can't really
Now let's talk about our
crack
main
down
villain,
on it.
the Tooth Fairy.
The Tooth Fairy. No, not that, please.
Boy, wouldn't that have been a different film?
Best villain.
Francis Dollarhide, aka the Tooth Fairy, is portrayed by Ray Fiennes and Tom Noonan. Again, this is a very hard choice as both turned in very strong performances. Fiennes is certainly the more tragic of the two. Much more is given about his backstory, and you find yourself feeling more and more sorry for him.
Yeah.
As you watch, you get the
Movies
feeling
do
he
that.
doesn't
They try to
want
make you
do
sympathize
this, but
with
his
killers.
abusive past mixed with a sick mind creates a desperate need to go through this bizarre transformation.
I wish I could have trusted you. I wanted to trust you. You felt so good.
You see more his interaction with people, how he works, how often he's in constant battle with himself. It's a great performance as well as a great character. Noonan's portrayal is a bit different. The tragedy is there, but it's more hinted at. He's left more in the shadow, which makes him come across as much more creepy as well as more unpredictable.
You are privy to a great becoming, and you recognize nothing. You're an ant in the afterbirth. It is your nature to do one thing correctly. Tremble.
Most of his scenes don't even have music. It just lets the suspense and mystery of his actions fill the fear of the scenario. So in this case, we once again have two totally different interpretations. And it all depends on what you find stronger, the killer you have more compassion for, or the killer you're scared to death of. As much as I love both of them, I again have to go with Manhunter. Because the less you know about what's going on in his brain, the more unpredictable and therefore frightening he is.
True.
But he
A
still
little
has that
true.
level of depth that is needed as well. And you do see the pain he's going through, it's just not explained through words.
Yeah.
It's explained
Sometimes
through
mystery
visuals.
is better.
And in a film, that plays pretty strong.
Yeah, mystery
Tough
is...
call, but I have to side with Manhunter again. It's just another example of
Yeah, I
less is
agree, even though I haven't really
more. Point
watched
goes
it,
to the
but
old.
I agree. Mystery is in more depth. A lot of movies try to make you sympathize with serial killers and monsters and all that. I
Now
like
it's
it
down to the one
sometimes,
you
but
all
sometimes
want to
it's
talk
just like,
about, Lecter. Sure, he's not
Lecter.
the main villain in either movie, and one does have him much more than the other. But I still stand by the fact that these are two very good performances and deserve to be looked at. This is the best Lecter.
Oh, I love that scene. I had his kidney, his liver, with a bottle of Chianti.
Now, a lot of you might be thinking this is a no-brainer.
Oh no,
Hopkins turned
don't
this
show that,
role
that's
into an
gross.
icon, and whenever anybody even says the name Lecter, they immediately think of him. So obviously, he should win. But Brian Cox actually has a very different and surprisingly effective take on the role as well.
Oh.
He's a fast talker, he's obnoxious, he's a jerk. But he also manages to get inside your head in a matter of seconds.
Thought you might be curious to see if you're smarter than the person I'm looking for.
Then by implication, you think you're smarter than me since you caught me.
I know that I'm not smarter than you.
Then how did you catch me?
You had disadvantages.
What disadvantages?
You're insane.
Hopkins is slower and more calculating.
Then by implication, you think you're smarter than I am. Since it was you who caught me.
No, I know I'm not smarter than you.
Then how did you catch me?
You had disadvantages.
What disadvantages?
You're insane.
But there's also something even more frightening about a guy who just has you pegged the minute you walk in, and uses that almost immediately to start manipulating you.
You came here to look at me, to get the old scent back again, didn't you?
I want your opinion.
I don't have one right now.
Well, when you have one, I'd like to hear it.
When you get more files, I'd like to see them too. You can call me when I have to call my lawyer. They bring me a telephone. Would you like to leave me your home phone number?
Hopkins could be evil, but you never really got mad at him. This guy you just want to smack in the face half.
Yeah,
It
true.
wasn't the act that got you down, was it?
Didn't you really feel so bad?
Reminds me of like the
Lately,
Craze
felt
Brothers.
so good, and why
Sort of
shouldn't it feel good?
What an asshole. In the book, he's used about as much as he is in Manhunter, but in Red Dragon, they upped his role because of his popularity.
We mustn't judge too harshly, Will. It was his first time. Have you never felt a sudden rush of panic? Yeah, that's the fear we talked about.
On top of that, we've also had 2 other movies to build up the creepiness. So by the time this one rolled around, there was a lot more build-up as to what to be afraid of. We also see how he was captured in Red Dragon.
Oh, yes.
Which is interesting, but I'd be lying if I said I sort of didn't want to see that. Like it's better left to the imagination. And come on, how did he survive that? Next time, drop a safe on him to be sure.
Yeah.
It's true that his age can be a
I
little
have no
distracting
idea
in
how
the
it's
movie,
survived.
but I'm
Missed
not
all
gonna
the
lie,
organs, I'm guessing.
The character does seem stronger when Hopkins is doing it. Now, I'm sure a lot of that has to deal with the fact that there's more time and 2 other movies to develop him, and on top of that, it's an Oscar-winning performance. But still, I think it's worth noting Cox's performance as well. Yeah, it's different and there's not as much of him, but just like Michael Mann did with the other killer, there's little music, little shadow. The creepiness just comes from the performance and the blunt, harsh reality of the situation. With that said though, it's pretty hard not to love a guy who can find the real meat of a role. Point goes to the new.
Smell yourself.
Winner, Red Dragon. Okay.
Thomas Harris's books are always filled with colorful characters, and these characters are just as colorful... Best supporting cast.
But he only chose Anthony Hopkins. He knew there was going to be a shitload of backlash if he didn't choose him.
Again, a lot
Everyone
of
would
good
just have
performances and
a
actors
fucking
to choose
hissy
from.
fit.
Let's start with Grant's family. In Manhunter, the wife is played by Kim Grest, and the son is played by David Simon. In Red Dragon, it's Mary Louise Parker and Tyler Patrick Jones. While there is a connection in Red Dragon with them, Manhunter devotes entire scenes to how this is all affecting their lives. Even the scene where he confesses to his son the hardships of a sick mind and what it means to live with it. This is a very strong moment.
Barry's mom had this newspaper. It said you were in a special hospital.
And I was transferred into the psychiatric wing. That bothers you, doesn't it?
I don't know.
Though, am I the only one distracted by just wanting to see the old labels for things?
Yeah, I was looking at those
Why
as
have
well.
Grape Nuts ever
Grapefruits and
changed their
grape nuts.
logo? The Nosy Reporter
Look
is
at
also
that
a lot
food.
of fun, played by a jackass Stephen Lang and a pompous Philip Seymour Hoffman. Both are great, but I think I prefer the snobby Hoffman a little bit more. That's just my personal preference, though. Jack Crawford has played well in both versions, as are the other investigators. Wait a minute, is that Barney in both of these movies? Holy shit, it is! It's like he's in 2 different dimensions!
Doctor Who.
But for me, the tipping point has to be with the blind woman dating the killer, played by Joan Allen and Emily Watson. And as cool
Emily
as Joan
Watson.
Allen is, it's Watson who is far more memorable. Much more time is given to the romance between these two, and it shows in more detail how their relationship grows, which makes it all the more tragic when you see where it all ends up. In the original, it's a little rushed. The idea is that he finally falls in love with a woman and his psychotic killer mind doesn't know how to handle it. When the attempt to kill her comes in Manhunter, it's just sort of like another kill. But in Red Dragon, it's a real hard choice, and we know why. We've seen them grow close together. The relationship with the family is important in Manhunter, but I think the relationship with her is more important in Red Dragon. It gives the character more of a purpose as well as a weight.
Yeah, you see
Factoring
more, I
all that
guess.
in, it seems like Red Dragon truly does have the better supporting cast, though only by a little. Point goes to the new.
You know, if you don't want to talk, that's okay.
Red Dragon's being this
Once
wings.
again, it's all tied up, and it comes to the most important element, the story.
Story, okay. See, I really can't pass judgment really that much
Those who read
because
the
I haven't
book
seen
know that Red
Manhunter,
Dragon
so
followed it a little
I can't really
closer. But as
criticize
we
it.
all know, that doesn't always mean it's going to make for a better movie. You
If I
could
haven't
make the
seen it, I
argument
can't
that
criticize
the ending in
it.
Manhunter, though different, did at least keep the story in mostly
If you're
a three-act
comparing the
structure.
two movies.
Red Dragon actually has 2 endings, a fake out and then the real climax. I'll admit I'm not usually a fan of these fake outs, but at the same time it did allow Norton a psychological confrontation with the killer as well as a physical.
Oh yes, I
In the
remember
original,
that.
he just sort of fights him off and that's it. The rest of the 2 stories actually follow pretty similar. The main differences are how much you see of the family, the girlfriend, and Lecter. You see more of Lecter and the girlfriend in Red Dragon, but you see more of the family interaction in Manhunter. For me personally, I prefer more Lecter and the girlfriend. Also, the story is a little bit more spelled out in Red Dragon. You can follow Manhunter okay, but a lot of stuff flies by pretty quick. For example, there's just a line in Manhunter when they say they searched Lecter's cell and didn't want him to know. In Red Dragon, they actually show what they had to go through to fool him, and whether or not it works. In fact, a lot of Red Dragon is more visual. I remember much more of the creepy sets, the bizarre imagery, and the dark shadows. Now don't get me wrong, Manhunter looked good too. But when I think of it visually, I think more large beaches and a lot of blank walls. Come on guys, can't you hang a picture in there? I guess there was that weird backdrop in the killer's house, but
It's like the
honestly,
moon. I don't know.
get
That's
it.
weird.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
All of this contributes to tell the story more fluently and providing a more natural narrative. And in terms of all that, Red Dragon does move smoother. Again, with the exception of maybe the ending, every scene seemed to fall nicely into the next. And the characters that needed to be focused on were constantly focused on. Even the ending isn't horrible, it just sort of seems a touch unneeded. Like they could have had the same psychological climax at the killer's house without the family. Yeah, I know, similar to what they did in Manhunter, but maybe with a little bit more dialogue. So just to emphasize, I truly do enjoy both of these films. They're both great movies.
Okay.
And if I had to choose which one I like better, and I do, it would have to be Red Dragon.
Okay,
Only
Red
by
Dragon.
a tiny bit. Point goes to Red Dragon. In
All
my
right.
opinion, the superior film.
He had to choose it because if everyone said, "Hey, you don't like Anthony Hopkins," everyone would have lost their fucking minds.
I'm a nostalgia critic, and if you'll excuse me, I'm going to eat some liver with some fava beans and a
With some
nice
fava
Chianti.
Yeah, that's it. That's fucking creepy as shit.
Hello, takeout. Yes, I would like to order your finest duck liver, please. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, sides? Yes. I would like a, side of fava beans. That would be lovely.
I've creeped someone out.
Something to drink? Let's do a Chianti. That'd be wonderful. What kind? A nice one. That'd be great. Something seems to be wrong with this phone.
Jesus.
Would you like to leave me your home phone number?
Oh boy. So, yeah, that was Nostalgia Critic sort of reviewing Manhunter versus Red Dragon. But, you know, I really can't pass judgment. I can't say which one's best, because this is a comparison. This is comparing two movies together. So it makes it a little bit more tricky for me, because I've never seen Manhunter, and I can't really pass judgment when I've never watched something that much. But I can give you my thoughts, my feelings, what I've observed, what is okay and what not. But yeah, like I said, I can't really just criticize this movie. But from what I've seen, Manhunter looks very interesting. I sort of really do want to watch it because it looks very fascinating. Just sort of, I think it's more slower paced maybe, and I kind of maybe like that. I don't really like a lot of explosions and actions, not that Red Dragon did that, but I just sort of like the slower sort of just talk through bits sometimes. You know, if it's a slow day and you just want a bit of popcorn and watch something. But I also do enjoy Red Dragon that much. I've watched this, I know what to expect, and I think I like Red Dragon really much. But I don't know, I really don't know because I haven't seen Manhunter, so I think it's something I should watch so I can really compare it. Because like I said, I can't really compare these two together. I can't criticize it without seeing it. Because it's a comparison. I can't say, oh, Red Dragon's more superior when I haven't watched the Manhunter one. Yeah. This was totally awesome. If you like this video, make sure to give a like, comment down below, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.